Welcome to the Bond and Ground Podcast, the podcast where grounding and bonding aren't just topics, they're the foundation of electrical safety. Hosted by CMP5 member Paul Abernathy, this show breaks down the National Electrical Code with a focus on Article 250, the article dedicated to proper grounding and bonding of electrical systems. Whether you're a seasoned electrician or just decoding the code, you're in the right place. No resistance, just grounded knowledge. Now sit back and enjoy the podcast with your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Bond and Ground Podcast. This podcast is this is the first episode of this new the Bond and Ground Podcast, where we're going to talk about all things grounding and bonding that associate with Article 250 of the National Electrical Code, also Article 200, dealing with grounded conductors as well in the National Electrical Code. And if you're not familiar with who I am, or if you've never listened to a podcast before, or you stumbled onto this podcast, you're thinking, well, who the hell is this guy? And what is his the authority to be able to talk about grounding and bonding? Is he just another Joe Schmo that's out there and got their license and say, hey, I'll just start a damn podcast? So I guess it would be proper to give a little bit of an introduction, since this is episode 1 of the new podcast called the Bond and Ground Podcast. My name is Paul Abernathy. If you crack open the front of your code book, whether it's the 2017, 2020, 2023, whatever, and the new 2026 that'll be coming out in about a year, you'll see my name under Code Panel 5. In Code Panel 5, as you know, deals with Article 250, and also Article 200 deals with grounded conductors. Again, in many cases, a neutral conductor. And of course, we'll talk about all those nuances here on the podcast as we go through various episodes. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a background. I'm not new to the industry. I've been doing this nearly 40 years. I've written books on the subject, helped create courses on grounding and bonding. I helped write books with a gentleman named Phil Simmons on grounding and bonding. I have co-authored many books, as well as wrote articles, blogs, podcasts on the subject. And again, serving on Code Making Panel 5 for the National Electrical Code for multiple cycles. And just getting to know various members of code making panels, and through the years, also as the expert to the southern region as a NEMA representative for a few years there. And being that I also serve as a director of technical services for arguably the world's largest manufacturer of wiring cable, whether it's low voltage, medium voltage, electronic, whether it's high voltage, those type of things. So I've been doing that for quite a few years. So I'd like to think that I'm a bit of an authority on subjects that deal with the National Electrical Code. And you can agree to disagree, but as we go through this podcast, we're going to be talking about a lot of topics. And one of the missions that I used to do years ago was to look for things when it came to grounding and bonding that were misconceptions. They were kind of urban legends that people would share and propagate. And the next thing you know, we have this advent of social media. And so we get these platforms like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all these different types of social sharing platforms where behind the keyboard or behind the computer, everybody's an expert. I get it. And they share information. The problem with that, and the problem that spawned me to do the Let's Ask Paul podcast, if you've never heard it before, check it out. It's available. Just go on any of your favorite social platforms and look for Let's Ask Paul podcast or Master the NEC podcast. Those are other podcasts that we've been doing for years on all different topics involving the National Electrical Code. So I'm sure you'll find something in one of those episodes for your flavor that we talk about the NEC. But on this podcast, one of the main focuses that we're going to have in this series is looking at all of the things about grounding and bonding, having discussions on service bonding. We're going to be talking about bonding of transformers. We'll dig into separately derived system applications, generators. We're going to look about just about everything through this series that has to do with grounding and bonding. And one of the big things that we're going to look at is this thing where folks, the electrical industry, electricians have this weird pride, I guess, that they never want to be wrong. And so when you take somebody like myself who has, which I can be wrong, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to say that I am always right, because we can agree to disagree on many things. But when I post something on social or something on a platform, it's usually well-founded in research and the fact that serving on code panels and having various discussions on the topic, that I feel the need to share certain information with the public on our social platforms, as well as in our courses, our blogs, and other things that we offer. And what we find is that in many cases, there are a situation where other electricians want to chime in and argue and post their opinion. The problem with that is usually they never post a code reference. They never back up anything they say, and they just put it out there on the ether. And the problem with that is we have a generation now that is learning based on what they see on social media. And it's very easy for somebody to just start a YouTube channel, start a TikTok channel, and become what we call an influencer. And so people are very easily molded into watching these influencers who have never really served on any code panel. They've never written any books. They've never done anything outside of maybe achieving licensure themselves. So they don't really have the foundation. And so when they put information out there, we have to take it with a grain of salt, because what happens is they could be propagating information that is not accurate. It may be what they believe, but it doesn't make it accurate. And so we have to be real careful with that. So we spend a lot of time making sure that when we post something on our social, or we post something and somebody's always eager to jump right in and give their opinion. But, I tell people all the time on my social platforms, I'm not interested in your opinion. I need you to state facts. And when you state facts, you back it up with code references, not what you believe, that type of thing. And so we see an awful lot of that on social media. So I began this little test again. As y'all know, I do this from time to time, where I went to Facebook and I started posting some grounding and bonding pictures, and some of the comments that you get, which I expected this, some of the comments that we get are really out there. I mean, they're not founded in anything but somebody's opinion, and they really aren't the authority to be able to propagate this type of stuff through social media. They're just giving their opinion. And when you're quick to correct them, they'll say, well, it should have been obvious, or, it's like, like if it's a service application and there's a bonding jumper application, they might say, well, I said it was a bonding bushing, but they didn't remember that the general rule that we're talking about is about a bonding jumper, not just the bonding bushing, because that could be applicable to more things than where the code requires a bonding jumper, like in 250.92b when you're dealing with service. In raceways, it contains service conductors and the little extra bonding that you have to do at all points where the raceway, for example, will terminate into an enclosure. And then they're quick to say bonding bushing is needed, but the real focus is bonding jumper. And they may understand it, and in their mind they do, but it's how they convey it. And one of the problems with social media is, unless you point blank, be very descriptive and make it very much detailed, the problem with that is that somebody will see something and assume it, and they don't know that a bonding jumper, for example, is required. They may think it's okay just to do a bonding bushing. And when you post and go, well, I figured it was obvious, it's not obvious. And so that's the problem with social media, is that they only give partial stuff. It's never substantiated. It's very lax detail. And what I've determined over the last, I guess, probably about 5 years or so, and where there's social media has really grown up, is that I start looking at these posts and I start analyzing it. And Instagram is awful. Probably not as bad as TikTok, but Instagram is terrible. Facebook's awful. Of course, that's, Facebook's also interlocked with Instagram. But it's the armchair experts who really have not, put in their time. I'm okay with being told I'm wrong if you can substantiate it. You just tell me I'm wrong, that's not going to do you any good. That's, I've served too many years on code panels and written too many books and articles, and I am one of those that believe that Augustus Soares is accurate, and he is right. He was right, that type of thing. So at the end of the day, that's what this podcast is going to make an effort to do. This is episode 1. Just trying to give you a little introduction to me, and my hope is that you will subscribe, that you will follow as we dig into various topics with the Article 250. And I will make a promise to you that I will try, since it is a podcast, and folks know I love podcasts, and this has been in the works for a while, as I haven't done any podcasts in the last couple of weeks on Let's Ask Paul or Master the NEC podcast, because we were working on this podcast that we want to do here that focuses on grounding and bonding. That's kind of the reason. So it's called the Bond and Ground Podcast. Hopefully you will listen to it. We will it will make its way on all of your popular listening platforms. We hope that it will, and we'll be able to share information out there about grounding and bonding, which, if you go on social media, a vast majority of people just don't understand grounding and bonding. They don't understand it. And so we want to make an effort to explain it to people and give them some insight, because, again, safety. That's what we're focusing on, okay? So anyway, I just want to let you know this is an introduction. Make sure you bookmark it, share with other people. We're excited about the Bond and Ground podcast. Hopefully you will join us as we'll get into various episodes and talk about all types of topics that goes with grounding and bonding and all those great things in Article 250, and spread the love. All right, folks, take care. God bless.
Thanks for listening to the Bond and Ground Podcast, the podcast where grounding and bonding aren't just topics, they're the foundation of electrical safety. Hosted by CMP5 member Paul Abernathy, this show breaks down the National Electrical Code with a focus on Article 250 like no one else can. Whether you're a seasoned electrician or just decoding the code, you're in the right place. No resistance, just grounded knowledge. Thanks for listening to the Bond and Ground Podcast. Stay bonded, stay grounded, and as always, trust the real code professionals, not social influencers.